You're probably here because you get pain at the wrist, sometimes radiating up the forearm after typing or playing for longer than 10 to 15 minutes, maybe even more quickly. And you're not really sure what's going on, and you might have already gone to a doctor who hasn't been helpful. The stretching, bracing, rest, medication they recommended did not really help, and the pain might have temporarily reduced, but it's still there and it feels like it's getting worse. And I know this is scary, which is why if you watch for the next 5 minutes, I'm going to share with you why these don't help and why specific endurance exercises are the way you achieve pain-free gaming and typing. I'm Matthew Hu, and I'm a physical therapist who has been lucky enough to work with professional esports teams and gamers for the past 8 years to keep their wrists healthy. I'm the first published physical therapist in the realm of esports medicine and have also contributed a few chapters in a book about conditioning for esports. It starts by understanding that your wrist pain is affecting the tendons, not the nerve, which means it is not carpal tunnel syndrome. In the 2,500 plus cases that we've seen, 99% of cases involved a tendon problem, and we only saw one mild case of carpal tunnel syndrome, and that case was also primarily a tendon issue. Why is carpal tunnel syndrome so frequently diagnosed? Well, it can be traced back to our medical education curriculum, which studies have shown that less than 5% of medical education involves education about musculoskeletal disorders of our body, so our muscles, bones, and nerves, with some showing only 2%. And on top of that, only around 15% of medical schools require a rotation or practical experience in the MSK field, some of them only lasting 1 to 2 weeks long. And this leads to many graduating students demonstrating poor knowledge and low confidence in treating musculoskeletal disorders. And these are the same doctors that are sent out to primary care clinics, urgent care centers, and are the first line healthcare provider that's typically seen for most musculoskeletal issues. Add this on top of physicians who only spend about 5 to 10 minutes to try to understand the gaming lifestyle, perform a full physical examination to determine the contributing factors, psychosocial factors, lifestyle factors, and other variables that can lead to wrist injuries. And we can compare that to a physical therapy evaluation that often takes 45 to 60 minutes. This leads to the passive approach of rest being the dominant way to fix wrist pain, and when it doesn't work, surgery or more aggressive procedures are often recommended. I hope you can see now why this is such a huge problem. When you're told we might have carpal tunnel syndrome and have to rest, you might believe that you can't do anything about it, because you're told that you have to take this passive approach and have no control over what you can do to recover. And this can hold you back from success. And if you believe these recommendations, you can delay your recovery from as short as 2 to 3 weeks to 8 months to a year. And you'll be frustrated, confused, that no one can seem to figure out what's going on. You might get severe hand weakness. You might get a cortisone injection. Might have doctors tell you to stop gaming and actually stop for several years until you realize the truth, which is that it's not carpal tunnel syndrome, but actually an issue of the tendons. And when we completely rest, that has actually been shown to be worse for tendons, making them more weak. Tendons need stress or load to maintain their structure. And so what the traditional approach is recommending is actually hurting you more and leading you to worse wrist and hand function because you're treating the wrong tissue. This is why the passive approach of just using a brace that doesn't do anything to change how much stress your tissues can handle will do nothing to help the issue. The same thing with rest, the same thing with stretches, and the same thing with medication. It might temporarily reduce the pain, but doesn't change the fact that the tendons need to build up their capacity. It is not your fault, but it is your responsibility to act now that you know this. And we need to ensure that based on our lifestyle, the muscles and tendons at our wrist and hand can tolerate the repeated stress of extended use. Let me help you understand something important right now. Think of your muscles and tendons as having a health bar. So every time you're moving the mouse to click, pressing WASD, you're gradually losing HP. And there are things you can do to influence how quickly you lose HP. And these are things like posture, ergonomics, and if you death grip your mouse or have an awkward type of grip, you may be losing 4 HP per click instead of 1. Other things like sensitivity, mouse type, nutrition, and even sleep can influence this as well. And when you get to 0, that's when your tissues become irritated and you feel some pain. But on the flip side, there are things that you can do to restore your HP. And those are things like stretching, massage, resting, icing, heating, kinesio tape medication. Do those sound familiar? These can help you recover your health bar, but the most important thing is the size of your health bar. And this is represented by your muscular endurance, or how much your tissues can handle before they get irritated. So our goal is to maximize the size of our health bar, or max out our HP, so we can play for longer with less pain. And this can be achieved with specific exercises you can do based on which muscles are involved. This is why we developed a system and tool that will help you determine which exercises you have to do to build up your HP. It takes all the hard work off of your plate so you can finally understand what is happening to your wrist and get back to gaming or typing without pain. The Wrist Pain Troubleshooter is the first wrist pain tool for gamers and desk workers who want to resolve their wrist pain completely and do it without taking a break from gaming, surgery, useless exercises, or even taking the time to head to a doctor's office. And this is going to work for you even if you can barely play without pain, if resting, bracing, and medication did not work, or you've tried every other solution out there and there was no progress. If you really want to save time by fixing any type of wrist pain at home, get specific and effective exercises for your specific areas of weakness, and learn more about your injury from experts who have specialized in wrist and hand injuries, and of course getting back to using your wrist and hand again in as fast as 4 weeks, then grab the 1HP Troubleshooter in the link below.